Joining us now is Sema Hernandez, a Democrat running for U.S. Senate here in Texas. Welcome to our program. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for the invitation.
Sure. First of all, we want to get your response to the news that the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee endorsed your opponent, MJ Hagar, in the primary, which is kind of unusual. What's your response to that?
Well, to me, it's no surprise since Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer did recruit her to run for U.S. Senate. And this just shows the callousness and the disingenuous effort to replace John Cornyn with a corporate politician. What we need is a candidate who truly represents and reflects the needs of Texas and addresses the issues for the Green New Deal and Medicare for All, these progressive issues that I know have earned us the 24% of the vote across Texas during the last election in 2018. And I sincerely believe that the DSCC should not be putting their thumb on the scale to endorsing a candidate who doesn't really represent the values of what Texas needs, especially since the DSCC does not know the landscape, the political landscape in Texas.
Are you going to endorse the Democratic candidate if you don't win?
The intention is to beat John Cornyn and defeat John Cornyn, and I will do anything that I can to do that. And in doing so is, of course, supporting the nominee and helping influence the policy that that candidate will carry on forward as a senator.
You first came on the political radar here in Texas when you ran against Beto O'Rourke in the 2018 Senate primary. You got about a quarter of the vote back then.
Yes. A
lot of folks still aren't familiar with you. Tell us more about yourself.
So I'm running for United States Senate, of course, 2018, and I've told people that I was a baseball coach, community organizer, environmental justice advocate. I used to work in healthcare for 6 years. I was an insurance agent for 6 years as well. I'm a mother of 4 boys, and I'm a daughter of immigrants. I've worked in the fields. I know what it's like to live under oppressive conditions and policy violence and what that looks like. And to run for United States Senate as a working class candidate, it's something that I carry all my life experience, 34 years of life experience, to influence and introduce policy and legislation for the state of Texas and reflecting what the needs are of the working class.
And you currently live in Houston?
I currently live in Pasadena, and I'm a fence line community resident. I live right alongside the Houston Ship Channel, which is right next to your typical fossil fuel industry companies.
Okay. One of the top issues, of course, seems like in all elections, is the healthcare situation in the country. What would you do as senator to help provide affordable health care to Americans?
Well, one, I've always stood by Medicare for All, and the bill that's in the Senate right now is Senate Bill 1129. That will guarantee every person will have health care and health care as a human right, as well as ending the for-profit healthcare system, ending the donut hole that most people have to get with health insurance once they get over a certain age, ensuring that the maternal mortality rate is lowered by raising the standard of healthcare, and like most other countries, ensuring that the healthcare standard is raised across the board to ensure that the health insurance industry and their lobbyists don't dictate what the minimum standard of care is and that maternal mortality rate.
Would you support tax increases to pay for that?
Well, right now we already pay. We already pay through subsidies for the current health insurance system. So it's just simply allocating, moving those funds into a single payer healthcare system.
Immigration, another key issue of your platform. You've listed that at near the top. What do you think needs to change in the U.S. immigration system?
Well, right now we need to remove the ICE, remove it entirely out of the Homeland Security and take it back to prior to 2001, where it was the Immigration and Naturalization Services, and it was underneath the Department of Justice, where it would essentially insulate any policy influence from a president such as Trump from influencing these horrific policies that lead to family separation at the border, and introducing immigration reform that would honor and respect the current asylum and immigration laws that we currently have on the books. I do not support having such atrocious policies that don't have any oversight over these agencies.
What about building the wall? I would assume you're against that.
I am against building the wall.
Okay. Texas, of course, has seen several mass shootings, most notably the last big one in El Paso. A lot of people, of course, calling for stricter gun laws. Congress quite divided on the issue. What would you change about our gun laws?
Well, right now, of course, there is a rise in gun violence. We need to have a Congress that will utilize the Commerce Clause to regulate the industry and have a ban on assault manufacturing weapons as well as ammunition. What we need to also implement is universal background checks, red flag checks as well for violent people who are having guns. We need to have stricter policies on getting gun licenses, ensuring that people are trained on how to use them and have some sort of gun safety boxes in which to put their guns in, ensuring that they do have something in place in their homes and the people in their household know to stay away from those guns. So there's an adoption that I have supported, which is the peace plan that was put together by the survivors in the school, and forget what the name is, but the survivors from the March for Our Lives, kids who put the policy together for the peace plan.
Okay. Free college tuition, another issue in the presidential race. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I support the tuition-free college policy, and that has not necessarily been introduced at the moment, but we're going to work on introducing that, as well as student debt forgiveness.
You list on your website as being a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. If you're on the ballot this coming November, Republicans will, of course, attack you for being a member of the Socialist Democrats. How would you respond to that?
I welcome their hatred. I welcome their criticism. I welcome it all. They will view me as a Democratic Socialist. They will villainize me for being a socialist or a Democratic Socialist. That's no different. What I'm more concerned about is having a government that works for us, and I'm running to end the systemic poverty, systemic racism, and the ecological devastation that is brought on by policy violence, 40 years of neoliberal policy violence. And so if that means representing the working class, and if that will put me in the radar as a socialist for representing the working class, then so be it.
You think Texans are ready to vote in a socialist?
Well, Texans are willing and ready to vote for someone who's going to represent and reflect their needs, and I'm proud to not have accepted any billionaire donors, any bundlers. I'm not influenced by Wall Street. I'm influenced by the grassroots donations coming in by the voters who believe in our platform and our campaign that is going to represent them, which is not what we have right now.
Right. Of course, several Democrats in the primary race for Senate. How do you stand out, and how would you be the winner in November if you are the nominee?
Well, if 2018 was any indication of what we were able to do with very little money, I can tell you that winning the primary is going to be a piece of cake if we, one, get the word out, which is what we're doing here, and we continue to campaign on the issues. Not accepting any money from billionaires is a huge factor for progressive candidates, especially for voters who want their representative to represent them. Ensuring that we represent and talk about the issues that other candidates will not touch on, and expand on the Green New Deal, what Medicare for All means, and what ending the war economy means, supporting our veterans, ensuring that we have a VA system that is fully funded, that will address the needs of veterans, ensuring that we have a booming economy that doesn't revolve around the fossil fuel industry, and that our education is no longer privatized, an education that is affordable and for everyone. There was a time where colleges charged about $100 per semester. We don't have that anymore. We need to bring that back, because what that would do to our economy is it would be revolutionary. It would help fund and rebuild our infrastructure that is currently crumbling. It would put people to work. It would help invigorate a workforce that has been outsourced to other countries.
Sema Hernandez, a Democrat running for Senate from Pasadena here in Texas. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Coming in. Nice to hear your views.